Pregame.com.
Thursday night, ESPN, big ACC matchup. The Duke Blue Devils go down to play Florida State. This is a revenge game for Duke. Mm-hmm. They lost a rare home game in conference play. And usually when they lose one at home, you're going to say, oh, it was North Carolina. But Florida State, Scott, I'm projecting this Duke -2. And Duke's one of those teams when you project the lines, you know, you've got power ratings, and then you got to figure public perception and what Vegas is going to do knowing the public and that. So I have it at 2. I might be a tad high, but I think the game's going to come out at 2.
Well, and I'm looking at what Florida State has done since Leonard Hamilton took the wraps off of this team as far as the offensive end was concerned. It's like he had an epiphany finally after all these years of the business and said, we have to score points. But you look back in early January, they lost 79-59 to the Clemson Tigers. And they look like the same old Florida State Seminoles. Good, can pull an upset once in a while, but they're not going to hit 20 wins. I think they were 9-6 straight up after that game.
Clemson's not a great ACC team.
No, and they got thrashed. And it was a typical Florida State, lackluster effort that they had at times under Hamilton. But then all of a sudden he takes the wraps off on the offensive end and this team busts out. They're 10-1 straight up since that loss. And they've beaten the Duke Blue Devils, as you mentioned. They snapped the big long win streak that Duke had at Cameron Indoor. They whipped North Carolina 90-57 during this run. And they've been scoring points. You can go back earlier this season when they were involved in a 46-41 game against an Ivy League opponent where they set basketball back about 45 years. So it's really been something to see this team turn around. There's been 2 great adjustments made in the sporting world this year. One in the NFL, which happened with the Denver Broncos when they adjusted the game plan for Tim Tebow. See, I do get, by the way, a little fee for every time I mention Tebow. And then also the adjustment made by Leonard Hamilton with this Florida State team and what they do on the offensive end. And they're scoring points, and as long as they keep that mentality and the butt cheeks don't tighten up when the ball goes up in the air against a team like Duke, I think they've got a great shot at sweeping the series here.
I think that may be the first time all year that we've had the term butt cheeks on a video this week. Good for you. You win for getting that one in there. I've used big balls a couple times, but not we got the butt cheeks. I'll tell you what is good on this team, and it is the difference, like you said, is that they are scoring points. The one thing that is still the constant on this team, and you don't hear people talk about, this defense is phenomenal.
Nasty,
for Florida State. They have held 8 of their last 11 opponents to 39% or less from the floor. When your opponents are shooting 39%, you don't have to score a lot of points to win. And the fact that now that they've got an offense that's clicking and a defense like that, this is a dangerous team, and they're going to be a tough out in the ACC tournament and when they get into the big dance. And this is a team that is going to make an at-large bid. How high of a seed they get, if they sweep Duke, that's going to be great for their resume, for their at-large bid. And one of the things with it, and it's going to sound a little silly to you maybe, but I like to think how the average guy, the average Joe, John Q. Public looks at stuff. And how many guys are going to see this game on ESPN, and instead of saying, well, Florida State beat the crap out of, beat them at Duke. They didn't beat the crap out of it, but they beat them at Duke. They should win at home. No, they're going to look and say, what's the chances of anybody sweeping Duke in the same season? And you're going to be looking at a line where it's pick the winner, So Duke's going to get some action here. I think Florida State's live. I'll be honest, Duke and I, just before we went on the air, you said how you're a little down on Duke, where you just don't think they should be ranked as high as they are, the talent-wise. And I agree with you 100%, but it seems like every time I pick the spot where I want to try to step in front of them, they nail me, So I'm just passing. I'm going to throw it to you. Sounds like you've got a definite opinion in this game.
We're thinking a lot along the same lines here because, I do, and I was going to say that the general public is going to see a game where they can bet Duke, and all they basically have to do for the most part is win the game, and they're going to cover the spread. The bottom line is that I'm always careful when I make a bet. I'm always doubly careful when I go against Coach K. And I don't have any prejudices to or for any team or any player or any coach in college basketball. And, I've written articles on the forum. Every Monday I do that top 25 breakdown. I do a most overrated team, most underrated ranked team outside the top 25 that should be ranked. And I've been doing this for about 4 years now in college basketball season. And up until this season, I had never had Duke as a most overrated ranked team, and I do this every week. And all of a sudden now, 2 of the last 3 or 4 weeks, I've had Duke listed, and I could have done it this week because they're still 5th. And I really believe that this team is a team that should be ranked in that 12 to 15 range in the top 25. They're a good team with the ability to go deep into the March Madness, but to me, they're not a top 10 team. And I think Coach K is getting the benefit of the doubt. Now, if anybody in coaching in college basketball deserves the benefit of the doubt from the pollsters, it is Coach K. I mean, guys, I'm telling you, remove all your prejudices, whether you hate Duke or like them, he deserves the benefit of the doubt. But when it comes to our world of beating the spread, you cannot give anybody the benefit of the doubt. Every game is a clean slate. And so when I look at this game, I'm looking, okay, here's a team that probably should be in that 12 to 15 range as far as the ranking is concerned. Here's a team that against Florida State, North Carolina, Ohio State, and Temple gave up 124 out of 227 shooting. That's almost 55% against those 4 teams. Now, those 4 teams are very good basketball teams, but if you're the 5th ranked team in college basketball and you're the Duke Blue Devils that we've seen over the past 30 years, you don't give up 55% shooting, especially when at least one of those games comes on your home floor at Cameron Indoor with that great advantage. So when I look at that, I'm thinking, you know, why are they giving up those kind of point or that kind of field goal shooting to good teams? And so I've been really following this team closer than ever before. I follow each team closely, but I've been trying to find out earlier in the season why Duke is a little off. It's 2 reasons. The speed factor. They're not as quick as they used to be. I'm not a big fan of the Plumlees, good kids, good players, but not quick of foot. And the other reason is Rivers, the point guard, he tends to get a little ball hoggish. And I think this is an outstanding player. He's just young. He's outstanding. He's probably going to have a nice career at the next level. The bottom line is right now he gets ball hoggish. And for the first time in years, I see some of the peripheral players for Duke standing around watching Rivers when he does take control of the ball and won't give it up. He's shooting too much. And when he shoots too much, it hurts this Duke Blue Devil team. And I had stated in those articles that when Duke goes up against good quality basketball teams that are quick of foot and athletic, they're in trouble. And I think that's going to be the case here. So there you go. You know, I got a little long-winded there, but I got to go with Florida State in this game.
Well, and if he does put up too many shots and he's putting it up against the defense, like I said, of Florida State, that, you know, you don't shoot for a high percentage, that's going to be rebounds. And when you get into that speed factor in the transition game, Florida State's going to have some, you know, possibly some easy buckets going the other direction.
The one bottom line, though, the caveat with Florida State is like I said, and I was joking when I said they got to keep from the butt cheeks tightening up because now they're on a big stage. Now they're expected to be in this game and possibly win it. And the bottom line is when they went into Cameron Indoor, nobody gave them a chance. And now they're, you know, when a team goes from being one of those teams that sneaks up on somebody once in a while, but they're kind of like middle tier in a good conference, it's easier to prepare for a game like this. All of a sudden, they're getting this respect, and they're thought of as a team that deserves to be on the big stage, and they've got to get used to that in a hurry.
It's the hunter becomes the hunter.
Exactly.
And it's, you know, it's different ball game. I agree with you. You know, I want to pull the trigger on Florida State, and depending what this line comes out come Thursday, I may be there. I definitely don't want Duke. Let's put it that way. You know, so your free play is Florida State here. You're going to go with them, and I can't disagree. It's Thursday. I want to tell you, you're watching this video on Thursday. Go to Pregame Pros and check out. Every Thursday we have one capper that we offer for $1. I don't know who Johnny's going to select yet for tomorrow, but he always takes somebody and gives their best bet, Scott, for $1. It's a great way to introduce yourself to a, you know, possibly a new capper, or if you're new to buying picks, it's a great way to get your first winner and see what it's all about with the buying experience and the analysis you get with the plays. So check that out every Thursday at pregamepros.com. We give away a best bet for $1 from a capper, and you also get a special offer for another deal the following day on that same capper when you buy that package. He's Scott Spreitzer. I'm Marco D'Angelo. We're going to be back Friday night. Normally we'd be doing an NBA game on Friday, but it's the NBA All-Star break, so we're going to be looking at a college basketball game. We're going to go Butler and Valparaiso. That's a battle of Indiana. A little bit of pride there in that basketball state. We'll cover it next.